thank you for the invitation, all the team, and congratulations for the event in these moments. No, I would like to stay there with you, but difficult now, and then we connect with the screen. Okay, and then I put the screen my PowerPoint. One moment. And the reflection that I want to offer you here is about the l'Assemblée des cabanes. I explain to you this title, no, the topographies in time, or the time converted into form, no. This title talks us about the processes, and in this sense, I want to explain to you the one process of around 10, 11 years. That is first the competition, and then all the process. We will think and begin to build the climate museum of the city, all the process. Then I want to introduce the habitability concept, or the architecture concept, with this image. No, this image for me explains basically the concept of habitability. No, the shadow, or the thermal carpet that you see in the desert, all this where this man put the body, protects him from the aggressive temperature of the desert. No, in that sense, this ancient shelter in the coast takes the material from the previous rock, build the shelter. The rock protects from the strongly wind from the north. The shelter is oriented to the south, where you have the sun. That is this facade that you see. And then the rock gives the thermal inertia, cold in summer and hot in winter. And then this is a perfect, harmonious habitability. And then for this, for me, it's pure architecture. No? And another conditions that talks about habitability, or talks about architecture in this sense, these two wood structures built or planted in front of the building makes a couple of two elements, no? The building of stones or bricks, and the building of wood. And then these 5 meters, this intermediate space is basic, and then the intelligent material that are these leaves that disappears in winter and appears in summer when you need the shadow. No? But all this happens in this support, this place where we live, that is the planet Earth, that has biological laws and biological processes, no? With the 4 elements: air, earth, fire, and water, no? But the actual society understands the world in another terms, no? With artificial climate, with artificial horizons, where all is controlled, where there's no depths, where the climate always is the same of the year, no? Where at the end the horizon you can touch, no? Like Truman in the film Truman Show, no? With this dramatic moment when the ship arrives to the horizon. But I think that at the end, between us and the horizon, there's always space, no? This is the space for the questions, no? And when we design, when we think about habitability, when we think how to design the best way to habit the planet Earth, always we think with questions all the time. From the uncertainty of the process, we arrive to the different elements with the questions. This space between us and the horizon represents this question. Then this side, we can do the approaching to Lleida city in the east of the Peninsula Iberica coast, but in the interior, where we have continental climates, not Mediterranean climate. It's the red point. We entered there and we saw these two colors, the green and the yellow, no? The agricola system with more humidity and the agricola system with more dry conditions. The rivers, the north parts, all these mosaico, no, build it for the people, and then arrives to the city. That is this gray zone where we see these geographical conditions normally, no, these little mountains where they put the Gothic cathedral, and in front of the Gothic cathedral we have the site where we do the competition. Eight. The site is in the middle between this more plain and flatly zone in the left, and the forest, green forest in the right zone. No? Then between these two conditions, different scales, we want to mediate. No, the climate museum only wants to mediate between these two antagonical conditions. This is drawings from the competition. The stability of the horizontal plane, the relation with the other mountain and the Gothic cathedral in this case, the topography and the different platforms, the water resource that you have from the rain every year and every year cycle, and the relation with the Pre-Pyrenees horizon. In the competition, this ancient building in the first plane, they say that we destroy, we do this, and then these conditions between the flatly platform and the forest that is in the big hole that we have in the north part is the relation that we want to work with all proposals. Drawings from the process into 8. We understand, like the Acropolis, the previous mountain as the first architecture, and then in the top we work with the horizontal element that mediates between the parts and permits to the people enjoy and have the experience of the site. No? At the end, we have this plan with this spiral element that connects both parts. And at the end, from the city, you have different platforms and different levels that during the approaching that you have to the site, you enjoy. The analogy with the Gothic cathedral, with these two clausters, and the analogy that in the cathedral you have the big building with the stones, the climate museum you have the big forest. The analogy with both structures, the forest we understand as one room more of the climate museum in this case. And the people that visit the cathedral can go with the same clothes to the climate museum. For this, we question the exercise that they propose in the competition. No, and they want that we do a building that all the year stays between 19 and 25 degrees. No, and we say that it's not possible that if you want to explain the climate museum in Lleida, and Lleida city has continental climate, it's not possible that you want to stay all the year with tropical climate. That is the way of life that all the first world wants. No? And then we offer the experience of the climate as the climate museum. It's easy, you know, in the sense. In the center of the classroom, we propose this big pergola of 30 per 30 meters with caducifolian leaves. The 2010 from 2011, there's the first phase of the beginning of this building with a big excavation. We find different levels. In the first one, the first 3 meters appears these stones from the ancient river that were here in the top thousands and thousands years ago, and we put all this material as a big store element that after we reuse. In the second level, we find lutita, that is this kind of earth that we use to build different little mountains around the site of the building that were zones from the Lleida town hall that you can work as a urban park, no? And then we use these lands to put this earth and into this park to use these new topographies. Another part of earth we put in the big platform in the top, and we work with 3% of inclination and to offer this promenade where we approach to the city, we approach to the cathedral, and we discover the different horizons. And the third level, we find these big rocks that we reuse to build the big wall of 9 meters higher that mediates between the big platform and the whole of the forest. Then the movement of the trucks during the process built 2 roads, one from to go and another for to enter. And from this previous topography at the end, we have these new topographies. We have the 2 roads that appears here and here. Here you have the new mountain, and here in the platform you have this inclined plane of 100 meters of length and 3 meters of height. With this promenade, no, this element in the border. And in the big hall, we put the interior programs that with an important porosity with the parts that mediate from the scale of the people with the site. And then all the materials that we reuse, and this kind of attitude we take in another exercises that we do, like in Canteco archaeological site, one Roman ruins that we reuse the Licorella stones, descents, or in descents in the little pavilion, or in the Roman ovens in Villa Sardedal that we reuse the granitic stones that we have in a quarry 5 kilometers of the site. It's the same attitude that we have in Lleida years after. And this support at the end, people use and people enjoy these new conditions of the site. At the end, we always think that the site is built and the action of the design and the action of the process design, the unique that you do is to activate these conditions of the site, crossing with one necessity. After 2011, we have built this first phase, but there's stopped the process. There's no more money for the economical crisis. And we propose to continue and to habitate the site and to reinterpret the materials that we have there. We want to consolidate this principal section between the different platforms, different levels. The future auditorium at the end, we propose with no roof, open to the sky, and the relation with the different parts, with the forest, the exterior elements, always is worked with intermediate space. There's no glass in this climate museum. This cave, this big warehouse that we have in the first program, there was a part for the exhibition room. So we propose as a big polyvalent element where you can do different kinds of activity. But we need to build the minimum conditions for do this. This is part of the process. In the foyer of the auditorium, we reuse the same panels for the concrete, and we maintain in the side to pass the installations for these little channels. And this is the final material from the ceiling of the foyer. And from this foyer, you go to the forest, you cross the big warehouse, and you go to the exterior parts, where you have all the different levels of this big section, no? And you arrive to this site, no? You arrive to the ancient swimming pools. There's a pre-existence, a military pre-existence, and we reuse these swimming pools. And at the end of the process, we want to arrive this infrastructure where you have with dry system built the different little pavilions, the offices, the entry, the bar, etc. If they need to do sometimes, but with the economical crisis, it's not possible to arrive this horizon, and we reinterpret all the conditions. No, we do this analogy with Parc Güell in Barcelona, where the analogy is the conditions of the site. Today that we have an Pyrenees horizon, and in Barcelona we have Mediterranean horizon. These two big platforms in the limit with the city. No, we build definitively this platform with the materials that we find in the site. We compact with granitic sand. We built all the horizontal planes where the people wants to walk, and built with the ancient stones the pedestrian promenade. Then, after 4 years, appears the local vegetation, and in another phase, in 2015, we consolidate the different roads that the ancient tracks in 2010 built. No, we moved the earth, and we built this amphitheater. We put in the top of the mountain the same rocks from the big wall, and we have 360 grades point of view. Then move the earth and consolidate the amphitheater. This is the point of view of the city from this point. We activate all the local vegetation, and we interpret the movements of the rainwater. We connect with the different cultural associations in the city and the different schools. And we do a program from all the year that adapts and interprets the climate conditions for to do these activities in different zones of the space that we propose. The fog is an important condition in continental climate in winter. This is the structure that we do as the infrastructure for 22 glycinias plants that climb from the perimeter and occupy this space of 2.5 meters with the time. The time builds the habitability. And here we work with the elasticity condition of this iron element. The same condition of elasticity is the condition that we work in the Roman theater in Tarragona. The same condition is that we use in this element that we built in zero rules, and the limit of the different rails with this 1 meter and 90 centimeters. That is the proportion of the body, no, of the movements that you have with your body that build the wall, but you see the horizon of the Pyrenees, no, and you appreciate the different doors of the different movements that this rail propose to you. Or in Cantaco, the elasticity of these two lines where you want to work the limit in the different platforms. The elasticity in these stairs in Can Miguel, that we work with 20 millimeters section of iron. Or in the houses of Salou, where we put the principal infrastructure with the same material, with elasticity to the wind, but after with the wood, we build the shadow or the sun. Two conditions, and then all the people adapt their way of life. Or elasticity in this pergola in one tennis club in Barcelona, where we work with caducifolian leaves too. In this little house in the interior of Gracia barrio in Barcelona with this little balcony. Or elasticity here with ropes in this veranda built 20 years ago. And with the material that we recyclate, this veranda or bench too, no, that we recyclate with from this installation that we do in Cadaqués village from 1996 to 2017, 21 years. It's a public space based with the tradition of the site, that is the skipping stones play. Elasticity in this little element that use the kids when goes to see the magician kings, no? Or elasticity in the zero pergola, where we work with these 5 lines of iron that has 6 meter length, and we put 1.5 meters in the inclinated plane, and then we throw 4.5 meters with a gravity force at the end has the real form of the element, no? And after the vegetation, put the definitively zone, no? Vegetation that has the characteristic with the roots that link with the iron elements, and this is the constructive detail of this architectonic element, the roofs and the iron. And then an important element as is the evotranspiration of the vegetation as the best shadow that you can have. Vegetation that entry in these 2.5 meters with the pass of the time, and at the end we have this center point of the climate museum. During the summer, with a lot of hot, we can put the water vapor, or in autumn you lose the leaves, and then in winter you can have the hot of the fire of the sun. And at the end we built this structural section of the climate museum, no? Where we work with the thermal inertia and the natural resources of the site. This is a scheme that we present in the Venice Biennale in 2016, reporting from the front in Venice. And we explain the process of the climate museum, where the first exercise that in the competition wants is to build a building of 3,000 square meters with 6 million euros, a modern building or a postmodern building, but you build the climate with alternative energies. But we propose this passive system where we remove all the resources of the site and the instruments that we work were the sun, the water, the earth, and the wind. And with this, we propose the climate museum. In Venice Pavilion in the Arsenal, we do this action with this fog of plastic, or this pergola, or this abstraction of this element of Lleida, where we have only 2.10 meters between this sailing and the floor. And then we have 4 meters more with this cloud or this fog of plastic that all the time of polyethylene is the material. All the time is moving with the little air that you have always there, or the temperature of the bodies of the people. With the hot temperature, this thin plastic levitates. No? And then in the perimeter, you offer only space, 36 square meters of space, and we put the analogic information only in the perimeter. But we return in the warehouse of the climate museum, this exterior warehouse, no? And the spiral that we built to intermediate between the parts. And then in 2015, we apply different conditions to activate this site. We built the pergola. When the glycinias are growing, we put this agricola tissue with white color. We work all the plane where the people walks with these carpets, different carpets. And we consolidate the spiral, no? The same spiral that we do in zero rooms. This is another exercise in another scale, but similar conditions in continental climate, where we have Neolithic stones in the interior, this spiral, the same fog than in Lleida, or the clear horizon with the west wind. And these elements that enter the light, the zenithal light, to illuminate these Neolithic stones and the drawings that has. Return to the spiral of Lleida. and we activate all the promenade. Have the interior temperature under the pergola with water vapor in summer, and the glycinias are growing. And a little room, exterior room, for to practice with a drone activity for the kids. They ask us if we can put a space for these activities, these temporal activities on weekends. We put these curtains with the same tissue of the agricola materials. And when you want to open, you take the curtain, and then in the first project there was the big stairs of the museum. We put this veranda with this plane and different lineal elements of 6 meters, where we put the same vegetation that you see in the Cerro Pergola, that the roots enter in contact with the iron lines, and climbing to see the light, and with the natural water we have a big cloud in this patio of rain, patio of light, patio of air, no, in the big warehouse, in the interior of big warehouse. And then with this, we want to explain that the time, the pass of the time, builds habitability. We don't need to compete with the pass of the time. We need to flow with it, and we habitate the planet Earth. And with this image, I want to introduce different images with my academic space in the architectural school in Reus, with in this case, the students of the first year that always will receive in this room, no? This room with 114 trees, caducifolium trees, that in September you have these conditions, and in summer, in spring, and after in winter disappears the leaves. We receive people that invitated people that comes from another universities. They teach with us in this space, or different practice that we offer them about how to activate the different sense and have the experience without the sense of the view. To understand with the skin how it changed the conditions after these 2 kind of carpets that you have in the floor, and you read with the skin, with the noise, with the smell, etc. No? And we built these pavilions into a Mediterranean garden, where we work always between the interior and the exterior, in different positions, in different conditions. And when we need to stay in interior space, we have this minimum habitat, where we have the ateliers, etc., with the students. But with our climate, 70–80% of the days a year we can work with interior and exterior. We reuse all materials and study the conditions of these materials that we have around, or to activate habitability. What is the best inclination, because the water doesn't return, the rainwater doesn't return, and you have a roof. And different practices, the body and the experience of the site. Reuse materials of the other years, how you can sit case, this student proposed this exercise. Materials from the isolation of the interior and exterior, steps, practice with materials, have different experience reusing the excedent, or in this case in winter, to understand this big room that is this 114 trees. With this exercise that we built a grid of 2 per 2 meters that the students built with their hands, and built an horizontal plane from the most higher level of this inclined plane. They built the horizontal plane, and they have the experience with the body and walking experience of topography and understand the topography and the habitability. And every time more complex, every week they do another part of this exercise. Easy but complex. Another exercise is in this big plane of 2,000 square meters where we can build in 1 per 1 scale. First, we understand how to build the horizontality, and then after this exercise, during the next 2 months, we build the exercise of the students that finally, in end of the year in June, there's the big party of the university for all the students of the different levels, but people from first year build this space, these shadows, these places for to sit, etc. And return to Lleida, this space that the time builds the habitability, and to understand this, no, that the pass of the time is part of the process, and you need to understand it. We built one part with toilets, but we want to enter to these toilets crossing one garden, no? This vegetation, this bignonia kind of plants. At the end is a big roof that you have with the time here. There's no mirrors in these toilets. You have the ancient structures of iron where we put the water system. We reuse this iron for the kids and for the adult people for to enter to the toilets. We have water for the kids or for the adults. And the idea of the object trouvé, no? And the conceptual reuse, using from the habitability. The same attitude we have in Zero, where we built the space of the wine, and we work with the bottles of the white wine, without wine in the interior, for to build these facades. We work with this foam that normally used in the construction for to pass the installations, and this foam mediates between the glass and the brick. And then we put a little silicone in this part. We put this space of 5 centimeters for the shadow in summer, or to enter the sun in winter, when you need the temperature of the sun in winter. And when you have winter position, you put the corks, because then you need the chamber of air. But in summer, there's no the corks, and you see only different points that indicates the bottles that doesn't have silicone, and that you can take and then you can build the cross ventilation for venturi effect, no, in this space. And here in the left, you have the furniture where you put the real wine, and you after you taste this wine. Another object trouvé is in the houses Badalona, with the big lintels with a prefabricated system that normally you put concrete and steel in the interior. And we reuse this material for this concept, no? The limit between the house and the city. And then we build this community where you have the pedestrian road in the city, but you have the pedestrian road in the community into the building. And you offer this first vegetation, but after the people, as you see here, begins to work with the time as they want, no? Return to data, to the bathrooms, interior meeting point, water vapor activated, the glycinias that with the time are growing and growing. The different scales where we reuse the materials, big scale or little scale. And the element that at the end mediates between the big platform, the forest, and all the other parts, and we consolidate this section that is building during the time. The new amphitheater consolidated with the new vegetation of the local plants, local elements, the abstract of the competition on the left, this around 5 million, 6 million, and more meters, more space, more cheapest with the real element that we propose, the right side. And then when the people begins to use this space, 3 years ago in 2017, with actions that talks about the climate change, different theatrical actions with the cultural associations of Lleida City, but concerts, music concerts in the interior of the warehouse here, or quotidian usefuls, the park with the day and night urban park, or in the limit of the city that we offer, the experience of the site, and the afternoon, in summer afternoons, where Lleida during the day is a hottest site with 40-45 degrees, and in the end of the day, when there's no sun and appears the west wind, refresh the site, and we offer this fresh cinema for the people of the city. At the end, one proposal that is real, that people use, but one proposal that is a manifesto, no? At the end, minimum manifesto that it's an easy conclusion, no? At the end, the question that they ask about the climate museum, our answer was at the end that easy, no? That the climate museum is at the end is planet Earth. Is the moment. This is all. Thank you.
Maybe I will be the first one ask something, because we had, just before you, we had hosted a lecture by Philippe Ram, whose position is radically complementary to yours, I would say, with taking the climate as the first element, studying the climate on which he bases his designs. And I have the feeling that your approach is much more sensitive to a site regarding to the materials and so on. I mean, it's not a question. It's more a comment. You explain your relation to horizontality quite strongly. Can you develop a bit more about this horizontality, actually?
So, the price is not the condition. At the end, when you work with this attitude, at the end, we need what you need. And if you understand the site where you need to work the habitability, and you read the conditions, after all this process, the action of the design is only to activate, and then a big percentage of the project of the proposal is there in the site. For this, the proposal is cheap, because at the end, the action of the design is only to activate, not to put a new element. No, for this is cheapest, but the price is not a previous condition. It's a consequence of the process at the end.
You talked about the duration of the project of the museum. The Climate Museum is 10 years. And I would like to know how do you work with a so long duration, and how the clients accept that, and what is the advantage and the disadvantages of this duration, these 10 years of construction site?
She was asking, you are showing the Climate Museum, and you are showing also that it took 10 years to achieve it. And she's asking, how does it work, and how do the client react to a project that takes 10 years?
No, the 10 years process is for the conditions of in this case, of the economical crisis that we have in the first world. No, they have one resources for the first phase that we built in 2010 to 2011. They want to finish with the process, and then we stay 4 years working conceptually with the people of the administration of data, people of Cosmocaixa of Barcelona, explain with PowerPoints that we want to reactivate this stopped process in 2011, and then we find money from all these people in 2015, 2016, 2017, minimum money, and then we reactivate and open and activate the site as a climate museum, no? But the 10, 11 years of the process is for the conditions of the society, not because I need 10 years to do the process, no? And in this sense, during 10 years, the society changed a lot for what people think in 2008, people what things in 2018, so different. The competition of 2008, there was 92 proposals, I think, national and international proposals. And I think that 99% of the proposals understands that one climate museum needs to have alternative energies, solar panels, and molins of air energy, etc. All the proposals think about the active sustainability, not the passive one. But now, 10 years after or 12 years after, if you ask in the society to different architects, they change a lot during these 10 years. And I think that the rest of the society too, no? Now, during the pandemic, all the people in the society can appreciate if their house has the good orientation and has south orientation and can enjoy with the sun when they need to stay 3 months at home from March to June. They appreciate these conditions of habitability, and people think about this. And I think that it's one opportunity moment for to rethink what is the essential things that we need. No? And one of the elements that we need is the time. We need to enjoy the time, and is the most important treasure in life, I think.
Une question sur en fait l'évolution du projet. En fait, comment on peut passer d'un projet qui est relativement dessiné et construit, arriver à s'en saisir avec une certaine forme de résilience pour l'amener là où il est aujourd'hui, et puis peut-être se dire qu'aujourd'hui c'est le bon projet et que peut-être le musée tel qu'il était dessiné c'est pas le bon c'était plus le bon projet. Mais comment tout ça peut exister et est-ce que c'est fini en quelque sorte? Et juste pour dire merci. Joanne est perturbée parce que je crois qu'elle ne va pas arriver à traduire. Et en tout cas, merci pour la simplicité des réinterprétations des matériaux, du fer à béton et des casiers à bouteilles. C'est une source d'inspiration pour beaucoup d'architectes et aussi le traitement du végétal. Merci.
Yeah, the final design you see in one drawings or photomontage or renderings that you see where we propose this big structure of prefabricated system of concrete, no, with all the holes opened, and then with dry system, the programs that they need, maybe the offices, maybe the bar, maybe the shop, no, the shopping zone. But at the end, they don't. For the crisis, it's not possible to invest in our case, our proposal, I think it was around 2.5 million, around 2 million and 2.5 million. At the end, this process, we invest 1.3 million euros, I think. But if they need sometimes to finish with the concrete system, the site is waiting, no? But for me, after the process and with minimum conditions that we activate the site, actually you can have the experience of climate, no? And the final proposal works with the time, with the program, with the quotidian conditions that people goes there, the young people from the schools that are around this site use this part of the exterior spaces of their schools, and with the teachers goes to understand the nature, to understand the geography. They have this amphitheater, exterior amphitheater, this seeing point with 360 grades of view. They go there to do activities. People that goes to do a sport, no? When they organize the cinema by night in summer afternoons, no? The punctual activities that organize different cultural association or different people that goes there to organize encounters about the different debates. For me, in this moment, I don't need to finish the original project. For me, it's not necessary. In this moment, maybe 2 or 3 punctual elements that we define minimum, but the most important builder of the climate museum till this moment is the pass of the time. And this is the conclusion at the end. That the same process offers all the people in the process, and me too, more perspective about the proposal that we begin to propose in 2008 and we final propose now. No, during the past time, the site modifies, but we do the evolution with the site. Okay, and this is the conclusion at the end.
Thank you very much. I think it will be also our conclusion here because we have to move on. I would like to thank you very, very much for being here. And I hope that actually there would be another time where we can actually meet you for real in the physical space, right?
Yeah, I like to stay there with you, sure.
Next time, quarantine here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toni.
Thank you very much to you.
Thank
See
you.
you soon. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.